Please introduce yourself with a brief biography of yourself.
Thank you so much. I don't have a very big biography on myself. I am called Nakayinda Joan. I teach physical education. I teach at Toro Girls School, and I think briefly here I am going to be taking you through the continuous assessment, and my main aim for today is going to be about the KAIS, continuous assessment items, especially for the subject achievement. So basically that's what I want us to go through for today. And if we are ready, I think we can start. We have a continuous assessment, and I think it covers 3 different things. We have activities of integration, we have subject achievements, we have also projects. But for today, I think we can focus on subject achievements, and we are going to look at how to develop, or what really needs to be done when you're going to assess these learners when in regards to subject achievement. So for subject achievements, it is done in different domains. We have the cognitive, we have the psychomotor, and we have the affective domain. So the cognitive domain is always for the brain, and it is always assessed in different ways. But for our subjects, I think for our subject, physical education, we always assess psychomotor, because psychomotor deals with what the body can do, the movement of the muscles, what your hands can do, and the skills that you can portray. Then the affective always touches the heart, how these learners can appreciate what they have learned. And according to the chapters that we are supposed to assess, they are all practical chapters under subject achievement for our subject. So that means our subject basically assesses the psychomotor domain. And when we are looking at the psychomotor domain, it has 3 levels. We have the first level, which is imitation. We have the second level, which is manipulation. We have the third level, which is precision. And we have the fourth level, which is articulation. And then the fifth level, which is naturalization. So let me first give a brief of what happens in these different levels. The first level, which is imitation, this is where a learner sees and does. Like he or she sees something, or maybe someone performs a certain skill. The learner sees, and then you expect the learner to do what they have seen. It may not even necessarily be a demonstration from the teacher. It can also be a video clip. You show this learner what is done, and then you see how they can do it after seeing what is supposed to be done, or after seeing the skill that is demonstrated. So that is imitation. Then we go to manipulation. Manipulation, this learner is given instructions. This learner, you can now remove, we remove the visual part, whereby the learner no longer sees who is demonstrating or is not given anything to see from. So you just give this learner instructions of how to do a particular skill. Then you see how this learner can manipulate the instructions and do what is expected of them. Then on precision, now a learner is independent. No video clip or no demonstration given, no instructions. The learner does the skill without any help. That is now precision. Then you look at what you expect the learner to portray and how the learner has portrayed what is expected of them. Then we go to articulation. Articulation, here a learner performs a skill or a given activity that they are supposed to do with the help of different methods. They can do it in their own way. They can even bring in other skills. They can even bring in other ways of doing this particular skill in regards of what they saw or what they have learned. So here the learner puts in different, like the word is itself, art. They put in different methods. They can even innovate something different they can use to portray a different skill. You can take an example. If a learner has learned basketball, you realize that if you teach them to dribble, like they have learned how to dribble, you have given them the imitation, they have seen, they have manipulated, they have done independently. Now this learner can even dribble while jogging, can dribble while running, can dodge while dribbling. So that is now the articulation. They can put in the art of doing that skill. Now that is articulation. Now we go to naturalization. Naturalization, a learner can perform a certain skill or a certain activity without even thinking about it. It is just natural within their muscles. It is natural. If they're supposed to do that, they will do it naturally. They do not need to remember the instructions, remember the stance, remember how the hand movement should be. Here it is natural. The learner just performs the activity or the skill naturally without actually mistakes. On precision, there can be minimal or less mistakes, but now on naturalization, we expect this learner to have done or to be able to do these activities or these skills naturally without those mistakes that they can do or they can portray like they are still learning. On naturalization, you are supposed to perform a skill naturally and it is supposed to be perfect. So those are the 5 levels of the psychomotor domain, of which we are supposed to assess. So now what are we supposed to do as the teachers of Senior 3 and Senior 4? 1, you are supposed to make to create, or let us call it making. You are supposed to make different scenarios for every level. And this scenario is supposed to be having a problem to be solved and then a task. Just like we assess the items or the activities of integration, the way you set them. Even on this psychomotor or this subject achievement, this domain, you are supposed to get different scenarios for the different levels, because some people find it hard to get the different scenarios for the different levels because of their mode of assessment. You find that someone assesses all the levels at the same time, so they will use only one scenario. But you are supposed to get different scenarios for different levels. For example, if we are on imitation, let us get an example of a scenario. So I want us to get an example. If the topic is aerobics, if you're going to assess aerobics, I have here some sample of scenarios. They might not be so perfect, but they can make do of what we really need to do. So here, the scenario goes, a nearby community, this is now the first level of the psychomotor domain, which is imitation. The scenario I've tried to form here, it has been brief. I've formed it in a short time, but it can give us an overview of what we are supposed to do. A nearby community has reported that many primary school children are becoming overweight because of the time they spend on watching televisions and using phones. So that is now the problem that has been summarized. Now the task, how are you going to give this child the task? Because you are supposed to give them a task of which they are supposed to respond to. So if you just give them the scenario without the task, they will not know, because these tasks actually are the ones that help the learner to differentiate between which level you are assessing. So here the task for imitation. Using a provided video clip of different aerobics exercises, demonstrate simple aerobic exercises to the children that they can do during their free time. So the task shows that this learner has been provided a video clip that shows different aerobic exercises. So that is where we now differentiate that actually this learner is supposed to see, like we saw in imitation, they're supposed to see and do. So in the task, they are provided with a video clip and they are supposed to demonstrate these exercises to the children, the primary children. So that is now imitation. Now we go to manipulation. I want us to get the difference. Let me also give this example. I created a simple scenario there for manipulation. Remember, in manipulation, we said they are now given instructions. So here is the manipulation scenario. A youth center wants to introduce morning aerobic sessions to reduce inactivity among unemployed youths, but the instructor they had planned to use is not available because of the unseen circumstances. Using the following, now this is the task that you're giving the child. Using the following guided instructions, using the following instructions provided by the center, help these people to run their aerobic sessions. The instructions can be stand upright with your feet shoulder width apart, begin with 2 minutes of marching in place while swinging your arms, perform 20 jumping jacks at a moderate pace, perform 20 knee lifts alternating the right and the left. So in whatever skill or whatever move you want this child to portray, you can give that child the instructions. So this was a sample of the instructions that can be provided to the child. So here the child knows, the task shows that use these instructions, and the instructions say stand upright, begin with 2 minutes of marching. So now from the seeing they did in imitation, now they have to use these instructions and see how to manipulate them and perform an aerobics session. I don't know if we are together. Okay, someone has replied we are together. It's all right. So that is now manipulation. So the key point here is, in every level, create a scenario. The scenario should be somehow how do they call it? It should be within the child's experience, relatable. The child, you cannot tell a child something they have never or they will never even encounter. So in imitation, like I said, they actually know that primary children always watch TV and they always use phones. So that thing is very relatable to a child. So if you are forming these scenarios, form something that a child can relate to. And then the emphasis is give them a task. This task will help you also as a teacher to differentiate these levels. Because now in imitation, a task is different. A task here, you're going to use a video clip, or maybe they can even watch someone demonstrate as they also perform. That is now the difference. In imitation, they watch and do. Then now in manipulation, you also create a relatable scenario. Then give them the task. Give them the instructions. Even when you're writing your task, include those instructions that the learners have used, so that you remember that I actually told them to do this, to do this, to do this. It helps you to assess, because the learner will do this according to the instructions. But if you do not write down the instructions you yourself, you will not know what you are actually assessing. So that is manipulation. The last example is for precision. Let me now give you a scenario for precision. A local health center has observed that, this is the scenario, we are now on precision, the third level. A local health center has observed that many adults are developing lifestyle diseases that are common, that are always called the non-communicable diseases, e.g. the obesity, hypertension, whatsoever. And this has also been witnessed at your school through some administrators and teachers. The health center has asked you to help out as a PE student. Task: conduct an aerobics session for the teachers and administrators to reduce on those risks. So now here is the difference. Here the task is telling the child to conduct an aerobic session. That means they are doing it on their own. No visual clip, no instructions. So if you do not include these tasks, the learner will not even differentiate which level you are assessing. So if you just write the scenario, one scenario and one task, then you assess all the levels, you have not informed the learner of what they are supposed to do and what you are assessing. So remember the tasks in imitation and remember the tasks in manipulation. Now the task in precision is independent. So this is where now the tasks become independent. Precision, articulation, and naturalization. So you have to alter the tasks according to how you want them to portray what you want to assess. So here in precision, they are telling them conduct an aerobic session for the teachers and administrators to reduce on the risk. That means they are on their own. You want to see what now they can do without any guidance, without anything they can see from. Now that is a precision. So for precision, articulation and naturalization, you form different scenarios, but you still include how you want the learner to portray what you want to assess. Any questions so far? Okay, someone here is saying, I feel the same question can assess articulation and naturalization. Okay. My question is on level 3. You mean it should include video and instructions? I submit. Okay, let me first answer the first one who said that they feel the same question can assess articulation and naturalization. No, the levels are different and the expectations are different. Here in precision, remember, the learner is just learning how to do this thing on their own. So the task you will give them may not be as of a professional as a task you would give them on the naturalization, because on precision you actually expect some minimal errors. They can do something, but then you expect some minimal errors. So the task always differs according to how you want to assess them. So you cannot use the same task for precision, articulation, and naturalization. The second question, on level 3, you mean it should include video and instructions? I submit. No. Let me repeat. On level 3, remember on imitation, you give them the demonstration. You either demonstrate for them or you give them a video clip according to how you have set your scenario or how you have prepared your assessment. Then on level 2, which is manipulation, that is where you give them the instructions. You list the instructions, or you can tell them the instructions, but in most cases, when you are typing your scenario, because this is assessment, they are supposed to look at the scenario and the task. So when you're typing this scenario for manipulation and the task, include the instructions so that they can know The teacher expects me to do this and that. Then for precision, where you asked, no, for precision, there is nothing provided to a learner. You don't give them the video clip, you don't give them the instructions. They are now trying to become independent. But remember, on precision, it is not so tight whereby you expect perfection. No, here a learner is learning to do this skill on their own. So we expect some minimal errors in the skill that they are going to demonstrate. But now for articulation, we expect them to include in some more tactics, maybe on their own, or maybe somehow they watched, or whatever you do not even expect them to do, because of even the word shows. Articulation includes some art, show some different methods. That's now for articulation. Then for naturalization, it is something natural. This learner can even be taken to a professional gym and run an aerobic session, where you do not expect this learner to ask, what should I do first, what should I do last. You expect a learner to start with this, move with this, move with that. That is now naturalization. Another question here, can't the task be the same? But then what do you allocate the marks? What you allocate the marks matters more. Yes, what you allocate the marks matters, but as a professional teacher, take through this learner in whatever he's supposed to go through. This continuous assessment is not just for formality. It helps you as a teacher to know how far my learners have gone. You will find that a certain learner is in naturalization, they can perfect everything. Then another learner is in imitation. So it guides you on how to help these learners achieve the competencies that they are supposed to achieve. So if you say it is just, you just allocate marks, okay, you can allocate marks, but what has the learner learned? Has the learner gone through all these stages? Because that's the reason why this assessment is there. It helps you to follow up, because as you are presenting this learner for UNEB or for any, because actually these skills may not even be assessed by UNEB. They trusted you as a teacher to assess these skills, because even the last performance that is portrayed by a learner on UNEB or at UNEB or in UNEB, whatever you can call it, may not portray actually what a learner can do. A learner might be nervous, a learner can be sick, a learner can be injured. So they expect you to have gone through all these stages, and they can rely on this record. And one's question, which was, can't you just give them marks? What you use one question, then just allocate marks? This assessment, and he said, I think he was emphasizing that it helps you to know the level at which your learner is. Some students will end at imitation. They have to look at someone to do a particular skill. All some others still need instructions. Tell them, please involve jumping jacks in your repetition. Please do a warm-up. Please, when you're finishing, slow down. Please, that's what he meant. But then there are others who can actually run an aerobic session. They are on naturalization. You can take them somewhere and even make money. Take them to a certain organization, company. They can run aerobics for whatever time they need to be. So yeah, that is basically what he was talking about, which I was also emphasizing. Because I think teachers, I'm not saying even only physical education teachers, basically teachers have taken this for granted, especially the subject achievements. I want to talk about the checklist, where a teacher will sit and tick. That is when now they want the marks. The end of the time they want the marks. You sit and tick the boxes and then award marks. Tick the boxes and then award marks. You want your learner to. This I always inquire from teachers. You want the learner to pass, which is okay. You want the learner to pass, your learners to pass. Even it happens in activities of integration, it happens in project work. And we have no problem, because every teacher wants the learner to pass. But here is the thing. Make the learner pass. You explained a teacher their activities of integration. The learner has 3 throughout. But what actually the learner has in the head is different. That's why I always tell my fellow teachers, assess this learner, reteach this learner until the learner can achieve what you expect them to achieve or what you want to award to them. There's still time. These assessments run for a full term. If you have taught this learner a particular topic, the learner has not gotten a concept, or you have assessed your activities of integration, the learner has 0.9, pull out this learner. Explain to him, ask what's the problem. If you need to reteach this learner, assess him again or her again until that learner can actually raise the marks you want to give them. Because now you give a learner 3, but the learner can't actually do anything. You have not helped the learner. That means the learner has no competence in whatever you wanted to teach them. They will go outside there and suffer. So that is why, even in this monitoring that was done, you find a school with nothing. Some people don't even take. They don't have even the checklist. They just sit down. Even some teachers use one checklist for the whole year. As long as you know the indicators, you'll be like, here you deserve 5, here you deserve 7, here you deserve. But that wasn't actually the motive of the new curriculum, or the motive of giving you the powers to assess this learner through this continuous assessment. The motive was for you to follow up and make your learner achieve what you want them to achieve. That's the same thing with KAIS, these practical skills. You have seen the learner is still on manipulation, the learner is still on imitation, but then you will award the learner all the marks for articulation or for naturalization without making sure that this learner can actually perform this skill to naturalization. So that is where the problem comes in. As teachers, our integrity is still low. We do not care. We are just looking at the learners getting full marks, which is okay. They can get full marks, but make them achieve, make them competent. Let them be competent. In that, if someone says the girl has 3 in an activity of integration, then this girl is competent in that particular chapter that you have assessed or given the 3. If you have told us the learner is in naturalization, let the learner be able to conduct or to perform a skill that you are telling us that they can perform. So I wanted us to go to the checklist. He gave an example. I also wanted to give a daily example. If you are, let me see, I want to use either driving or cooking. If you are teaching your child how to cook, on the first day, the first time you want to see if this child can actually cook, is that you would cook with the child. She sees what you're doing. She sees how you have put this, how you have put this, how you have cleaned this. Then you expect them to do the same thing. Then another day, you can tell them, please buy this and this, put cooking oil first, add the onions. Now there you're giving them instructions. Then you find that they have tried to cook a meal from your instructions. Then you realize on the other day, you don't give them anything. You tell them, you go, today we are eating rice and meat. Get a way of cooking for us a meal. So you find that this child has cooked. Sometimes the rice is not so ready, but it is there. Sometimes it has a lot of salt, but it is there. Now that is precision. Now articulation, you will find that you tell this girl, I'm not going to be around, but your siblings are there. Make sure you cook for them a meal. So you find that this girl actually went ahead. Instead of boiling white rice, they tried to boil that pilau. So now that is articulation. They are putting in their own methods. They now want to cook a meal and they want their own skills. They are trying to get their own skills of cooking, not now basing on the script you gave them. Now that is articulation. They are trying to, instead of cooking the white rice, they have tried to see what happens if they put this. They are trying different methods. Now that is articulation. Now naturalization. Naturalization, now you know this girl can cook. When you have visitors, you just tell the girl, today we are having visitors, this one doesn't eat this one doesn't eat this. So see a way of making for these visitors a meal. So in naturalization, you are trusting this girl to make meals for your visitors. You do not know, you do not expect this girl to ashame you. Like now in precision, where they used to cook the rice that is not so good, the rice that has a lot of salt. So in naturalization, you expect this girl to be naturally a good cook. So that is actually what this continuous assessment is all about. Even when you're teaching a skill, same thing. They see, they do. Give them instructions, they get independent with some minimal errors, that is precision. Now they try their own methods, they bring in their own tactics, that is articulation. Now they become professionals. They can do this thing at ease without even thinking about. I wanted us to look at the subject checklist. The subject checklist has different indicators. And the moment you take this indicator, that means the learner has portrayed this indicator for that level. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever we can take it, these indicators are the same for the different levels. Someone was asking, but the indicators are the same. I think that's why people are saying, why don't we use the same task? These indicators are the same, but the levels are different. So if you want someone to kick a ball from the start, the way they kick this ball, they are doing the same task, which is kicking a ball. The way they kick this ball on the first level, we do not expect them to kick the ball in the last level. That's why the indicators are the same, yes, but the levels are different. So the expectations are also different. When we look at the indicators, there are actually 15 indicators per what? Per level. So when you see that in the imitation stage, this learner can tick these indicators. It is not a guarantee that they can tick it in the naturalization, because the expectations of this particular indicator, they are not the same. You don't expect the person to do the same activity or the same skill from the way they started to the way they ended. That's why they are the same, but it is not a guarantee that if they have gotten it in the imitation, they can do it in the naturalization. The expectations are different, even though the indicators are the same. So I just wanted to brief us about how to calculate the scores to submit. So I have analyzed, and I think we have 15 indicators. So how are you supposed to score the learners? Which scores are supposed to be submitted? Here, let me first read for you the indicators, the first indicators, because we have these indicators for the level. We have also the, how they call them? Generic skills, yes. So the way the learner portrays the generic skills in a certain level, I don't know if it can be different or the same, but I think generic skills always cut across. If you can work efficiently, but I am not sure. Some learners portray different generic skills in different levels. So when we add up all the indicators in a level, they are 15. We are supposed to total up, because I think if they're all 15, then times the 5 levels, that gives it 75. So you are supposed to add, how many did this learner get in imitation? You say they are 10. How many did this learner get in manipulation? They are 9. How many in precision? 8. How many in articulation? Which one have I skipped? Articulation? Yes. How many in articulation? 10. How many in naturalization? 9. So you add up all these totals that the learner has gotten, then you divide it by the expected number of scores, which is 75, the standard, then you multiply it by 100. So that is now what we see, that in a certain subject, in a certain topic, the learner has achieved 75% or 60% of the required objectives or the required indicators or the competence. So that is now the new version of submitting scores. Thank you. So today, let me just summarize what we have covered today, just to remind you and you don't forget. Today we have covered the domains of psychomotor, which are the key factors in assessment of subject achievement. We have covered the imitation, we have looked at the manipulation, what is done in precision, articulation, and naturalization. So the other key point is you are supposed to make a scenario for each and every level, plus a task, because like I said, the task is the one that will help a learner differentiate that you actually want the learner to imitate, you want the learner to manipulate, or you want the learner to articulate. So that is a summary of what we have covered today. The other thing is, as teachers, let us embrace integrity in our profession. In that, let your learners be something you can be proud of. If you have taught a learner and you find this learner actually using the skills you taught the learner, there's the way you will feel. There's that added respect. You will start respecting yourself. But some of us just take this kind of teaching for granted. You give learners free marks. Even the learners themselves will not take you serious. If they know, even if I don't do this, I will get marks. Even if I don't do this, I will get marks. So they will not take their learning serious. So I just call upon PE teachers. Let us embrace integrity in our ways of assessment.